What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down 4 different wide receiver routes and moves that are unguardable if you run them correctly. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Let's get started. Also, fellas, if you are a wide receiver and you would like a daily gym and on-field training schedule to follow on a day-to-day basis with the exact sets and reps you should be doing for each exercise and on-field drills, check out that link in the description below where you guys can get access to our 8-week ultimate wide receiver training schedule. I break down every single drill. I show you an example of it. I give you the sets and reps to follow on a day-to-day basis, and not to mention the 100+ gym exercises we give you to follow. So very first link in that description below if you guys want some more information on that. Let's get back to this video. All right, guys, the first move that you guys can use on a dig route and out route that's going to get you separation is unguardable if you run this correctly is something called a box cut. So a box cut is going to sell. We want to use this. We could use this if it's press, but we're going to use this as an example if it's off man coverage or maybe even some scenarios zone coverage. But let's say the DB's off coverage and let's say he's maybe like let's say he's outside shade, for example. And let's say I have to run a route like a 10-yard out, but maybe it's not a timing out route where the quarterback's just letting it go off the third step. Maybe it's like a sprint out. Maybe it's off a play action, and we have some more time to work this at the top of the break. So I want to make that clear. If you're using this on an out route, it has to be a later developing out route. If you're going to use it on a dig, you have a little bit more leeway unless it's zone and it's like a dagger where you got to like go right now. But you can use this on a basic dig, and then you could use this when it's an out route later read. So a box cut is essentially where you're trying to sell like you are breaking down, if you will. So like let's say I got this DB who's outside shade, and let's say I'm running up to him. It's a 4-step cut. That's why they call it a box cut. So a box cut has 4 corners, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's essentially going to be your feet. So it's going to be a snap down 1, break down 2, 3, 4, crossover, and we're breaking out on this out. So I'm going to show you how this is going to look full speed as well. I'm not just going to walk you through it, but let's talk about the scenario. You got a DB who's outside leverage. He's outside leverage for a reason, because he's trying to prevent the outside route. So if I have to run an outside route, what do you think I want to do? Do you think I want to just try to force it and run around him? No, he's probably going to just widen with me, and I'm not going to have any space to run this out route. I want to threaten his inside shoulder. So a great way I can do that is with this box cut. So let's say I go at him, I'm running hard, I break down, I throw a fake to the inside, and that maybe gets him to crash, and now I got separation and I have space to that sideline to where my quarterback can throw me open. So again, the steps on a box cut, I'm going to show you how it's going to look full speed. But again, you're running, you want to snap to the side that you are going first. So I snap outside foot, gather, crossover fake, and then I'm out. I'm going to show you how this is going to look full speed. All right, guys, so the next move that I want to talk about is a great press release that wide receivers can use that if you execute it correctly, it will be unguardable. So this is going to be something called a dive release. So we talk a lot about, you come up to the line of scrimmage, what are we trying to look for? We're trying to see what kind of leverage the DB has, right? So like I come up to the line, DB's inside shade, or he could be outside shade. And we talk a lot about on this channel, you want to attack his leverage inside, or you want to attack his leverage to the outside and then get up into your route. But what do you do if he's head up? If he's head up, this is when I like to use this dive release. So I'm sure everybody has probably heard of something called a diamond release, right? So a diamond release is when you line up and you have a DB who's inside shade and you take 3 hard steps to his outside shoulder, try to get him to commit to a fade, and you slip back underneath and run a slant. So a dive is pretty much the exact opposite of that. You have a head up press guy and you go to the inside now. You take off on a 45 to the inside. So set, go, we go here, 1, 2 steps to the inside, hopefully selling like I'm running a drag, get him to commit, and then I could slip back to the outside. Now it is very, very important to make this an unguardable release. You have to sell that dive with speed. You got to be running in full stride, and your hips and your shoulders have to be committed to that dive release. So now, a lot of times it feels uncomfortable for guys because you're only taking 2 steps, right? So they'll line up in their stance. Now, if you're only taking 2 steps and you're going to the outside, you're going to have to break off of your left foot. Guys will say that it's uncomfortable because they don't like crossing their feet. So on this specific release, you can take a little bit of a gather step. I call it a prep step. Some people would call it a false step. It's not really a false step, but you take this gather with your front foot. It's just like a step in place, if you will. Step 1, 2. Hips and shoulders committed to the drag, put the brakes on, and then go. If you guys are on a team that runs a lot of mesh from the slots, like you guys like to cross these guys over the middle on drags, this is a great release to use that can build off of that specific play concept. So I'm going to show you how this is going to look full speed. All right, guys, so the next route that I want to talk about that's unguardable if you run it correctly is going to be called a jerk route. So J-E-R-K, a jerk route. So it builds off of a whip route, and it will also build off of a slant route. So if you're a team that likes to run a lot of slants, likes to run a lot of whips, this jerk route is a great route to get you separation. So you're going to come off the ball here so it looks exactly like a whip route. So on a whip route, what would you do? You take off, you go 3 steps, 1, 2, 3, and it could also be off of a 1-step slant. It does not automatically have to be off of a 3-step slant. So I break here. Now, after I break on my 3rd step, I take 3 steps on a 45. 1, 2, 3, and I snap down on this whip. I hook around, and I'm trying to drive out, right? So now, instead of driving out, you're just gonna throw a separate cut. So maybe we've ran a whip route before, maybe we've ran a slant route before, so you are going to break down, hook around, jab to the outside, then slip back underneath on this jerk route. Now this is a great route. Honestly, like, it doesn't even necessarily have to be called. You could do this if you're like a slot receiver, or maybe if you're a running back. I know a lot of running backs watch this channel. You guys can honestly do this as a form of a choice route too, as well. So you break down, so whip, and just throw a cut, and then slip back underneath. If you run this route correctly, it is very, very tough to stop. Now, what do all great route runners have in common? They make their routes look the same. They can build off a route. So I would suggest before running this, maybe run a whip route a couple times. Maybe just do a whip route once. Let him feel that whip route so it can look the same, and that is what will get us more separation. I'm gonna show you how this route's gonna look full speed. All right, guys, this next route that I'm going to be talking about is something called a return route. So a return route is pretty much the opposite of a whip route. So a whip route, we kind of built off of that with that jerk route, right? So remember, it's like you break to a slant, you go to the inside, and then you whip back to the outside. So a return route is you break to an out route, and then you whip back to the inside rather than back to the outside. So I wouldn't even necessarily say you whip back, I would just say you come back, you return to the middle of the field. Now this is a great route that is unguardable if you know how to build off of it, right? So if you're a team that likes to run a lot of, maybe 5-yard out fade concepts, if you will. I know it's a big passing concept for everybody at every single level of football. If you're that guy that runs that 5-yard out, a return route is a great route that you can run. Now, obviously, the route's got to be called. You can't just change the route up in the middle of the play, but maybe this is something that you talk to your coach about. Hey, could we try to add this? Some people call this a T route, but essentially what the steps of this would be is you're going to sell this thing just like how you would sell a regular whip route. So let's say the out breaks off my 2nd inside. So set, go, I go up here. That's my 1st inside. 2nd inside, I break. I would go 1, 2. On my 3rd step, I would snap, hook around, push back to the inside, hopefully getting that linebacker, that safety, whoever is guarding me over the top to crash, and then I whip back underneath on that T or on that return route. So I'm going to show you how this route's going to look full speed. Make sure, fellas, that when we break to the out route, we're running hard, running in full stride, and commit my hips and my shoulders to the out route. That goes for any double move, and that's what will get you more separation.